Welcome to College Checklist, your go-to guide of how you can shape your college experience. I'm your host, Shannon Boesch. Let's get into it. Today, I am joined by Dr. Brent Sebold, Director of Entrepreneurship plus Innovation at the Ira A. Fulton Schools of Engineering. Hello, Dr. Sebold. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hey, Shannon, it's great to be here. Thanks so much for the invitation.
Of course. Okay, to get started, could you tell us about Entrepreneurship plus Innovation at Fulton?
Sure, absolutely. So we believe at Arizona State University that entrepreneurship and innovation is what I like to call a horizontal discipline, meaning everybody at the entire institution, quite frankly, beyond the institution, should be challenged to leverage the power of entrepreneurship and innovation. And more specifically, we hope that all students, faculty, alumni, the list goes on, develop what we describe as an entrepreneurial mindset. So our mission at Entrepreneurship and Innovation at the Fulton Schools of Engineering is to espouse an entrepreneurial mindset across all of our students, faculty, staff, alumni, and stakeholders in many ways, including programs and funding and courses and degrees and all the things we do well at the New American University.
Well, that is incredible. And since entrepreneurship is in the name of this program, for those who are not aware, what does entrepreneurship mean? Or better yet, what does it mean to you?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's a really important one because what I've learned over the decade plus that I've been working in this domain is that the word entrepreneurship is, in fact, a turnoff to many of our students, especially within engineering, but I know also in other disciplines. Entrepreneurship tends to be a kind of a scary word to most people because it involves risk, it involves, money, it involves, doing something that's never been done before. So for a lot of human beings, those things are, they sound exciting, but when it comes down to actually committing yourself to practicing the craft of entrepreneurship, it's a very daunting proposal. So what I've learned to do here over the last few years is to really help redefine entrepreneurship as problem solving, and especially within our Fulton Schools of Engineering, our students really are trained and inherently know how to solve problems well. Solve for X is the quintessential equation that we like to talk about. So when we reframe entrepreneurship as problem solving, really helping our fellow humans have a better life, then the subsequent steps of entrepreneurship become less scary. So my working definition of entrepreneurship is problem solving, and then you couple that with all of the fun aspects of an entrepreneurial mindset, which is curiosity and prototyping and creativity and making connections to the broader marketplace. And ultimately, our goal in this domain is to create human value in a lot of different forms. It could be technological, it could be social, it could be policy, it could be an intervention in a community. So the holy grail of problem solving is when you get to the other side of the equation, did you create something that people are excited about either using and or paying for?
Well, I commend you for changing that definition to encourage more students to pursue this new program, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship, because that is definitely a tool that is very, very valuable in the world and in the future. And so, kind of diving into this E+I at Fulton program, what is your role right now in that program?
Yeah, thanks for digging a little bit deeper because we've been at this for over 5 years, specifically within the Fulton Schools of Engineering. But at ASU, I should back up a little bit. I've been involved with entrepreneurship and innovation at the university level, dating back to the early 2010s. I was the previous program leader for our long-running Edson Student Entrepreneur Initiative, which actually kicked off at ASU in 2005. Wow. So the university can trace our roots in really developing dedicated programs in the realm of entrepreneurship and innovation back to 2005 in earnest. Now, of course, in our W.P. Carey School of Business. There were myriad programs that predated 2005, but in 2005, a lot of really cool things came together under the leadership of our current president, Michael Crow. We became a Kauffman Changemaker campus. So we had a significant amount of capital invested in our Changemaker central network across all of our physical campuses in the Phoenix metro area. And now that's kind of grown to be a global initiative with all of our online students. And then I also mentioned our Edson grant that's available to all students of all majors, of all academic standing. That's an initiative to help seed fund new ideas to get them moving in the right direction. So about a decade later, in 2015, we had an opportunity to double down on that university-wide mission of entrepreneurship and innovation for everybody, to create a center and a co-curricular center, student engagement center within the Fulton Schools of Engineering. And so our thinking back to those days in 2015, our original name was the Startup Center, and it was a lot of fun. To this day, our mission hasn't changed. It's really to espouse the power of entrepreneurship to all of our affiliates, our constituents within the Fulton Schools of Engineering, which, by the way, is humongous. We now have over close to 25,000 students enrolled in engineering alone.
Wow.
We have more female engineers than most engineering schools have total students when you look across the nation.
That's
so
amazing.
We are a big schools, multidisciplinary, multi-campus, multi-continent with our collaborations overseas as well. So right now, for the last 3 or 4 years, we've been known as E&I at Fulton to demonstrate our linkage to the newly named J. Orrin Edson Entrepreneurship and Innovation Institute, which is the university-wide institute that does the same thing we do within Fulton, which is to encourage everyone with a pulse, quite frankly, to really sit up and pay attention to why an entrepreneurial mindset is important. Why should we think like an entrepreneur, regardless of our discipline, whether it's in technology, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in art, whether it's in humanities, social behavioral sciences. We believe that regardless of who you are, you can benefit from thinking like an entrepreneur and behaving entrepreneurially to ultimately create human value.
Wow, that is just an amazing program that impacts everyone who wants to join. And I think you answered my next question for me, which was, is this program accessible for all students?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and we've even kind of taken it a step further just this last year. We're now welcoming aliens, zombies, witches, wizards, humanoid robots, artificial intelligence, any being, let's just put it that way, any being that wants to leverage our programs within E&I at Fulton and E&I writ large university-wide are fully welcome.
Everyone needs to know what to do so that they can build what they want to build,
That's exactly right. And, that's the challenge. I share with my students. I also teach at the undergraduate and graduate level courses centered on entrepreneurship and value creation. And one of my common refrains in my courses and in the programs we run is this idea that as a member of the ASU community, it's not good enough for us just to earn a college degree in whatever discipline you're studying. We have actually a higher calling as members of the ASU community. Just like you said, Shannon, I think our higher calling as members of this amazing organization that we're all a part of is to really make the world a better place. And so what entrepreneurship can add to anyone who wants to, as you said, build something or change something or do something that's going to make the world better, entrepreneurship is a mechanism by which we can think about how do we scale that intervention? How do we scale that innovation so that it impacts even more humans? Because here at ASU, as you know, Shannon, and a lot of our listeners do too, we think big, right? So and we can do this. We have the tools, we have the mindset, we have the resources to not just make a small impact in the world, but to make a humongous impact in the world. So this is really a challenge to all of your listeners to say, do you just want to punch a clock? Do you just want to kind of go through the motions for the remainder of your life? And I would say if you graduate from ASU, that's not acceptable. We expect you to do more. And one of the reasons we expect that is because we provide these types of programs and services to you during your undergraduate, graduate, or any stage of your academic career. Because this is what we describe, at least in the Fulton Schools of Engineering, as the Fulton difference. It is making you a better change maker. It's helping you to have the tools and the methodologies needed to do better than somebody else who has equal goals to make the world a better place. So we can actually execute on some of these ideas, right? So there's ideas and then there's execution. And I think what ASU is in a position to produce are people that get things done on a massive scale.
Yeah, those are just really great points. And I like how you bring up that change and a higher calling when it comes to entrepreneurship can be that tool that allows a lot of people to pursue a higher calling and do more to change the world. And so I think that is an incredible point and a great aspect of this program. And I know that you mentioned it a little bit before and just now, Changemaker. For those who are not aware of Changemaker, could you talk a little bit more about that and how it impacts E plus I at Fulton?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that back up. Like I said, Changemaker has been one of the longest running initiatives to help students realize that, regardless of major, regardless of discipline, regardless of academic standing, you can roll up your sleeves and stand shoulder to shoulder with people that want to change the world. And so Changemaker has several pillars of activity that they run on an annual basis. And one of those pillars is entrepreneurship. Others include community service and public engagement and other high impact domains of focus. But entrepreneurship for Changemaker is really about, how do we encourage our students, like I said earlier, to think not only about the intervention, but also to think about how do we scale and sustain our work. And a lot of times where we see that manifest is in students who are dedicated to nonprofit enterprise formation. We have a strategic relationship, for example, with Teach for America. And so in that capacity, you're not thinking about a high-tech startup. You're not thinking about building the next product or service that everybody's going to, use down the street. You're thinking about changing people's lives vis-a-vis high quality education in at-risk communities. So the entrepreneurial component to that is, yeah, I can roll up my sleeves and get involved in making this one community better. But how do we leverage resources around us to bring that to other communities, literally down the street, within the same neighborhood, within the same state, within the same country, and ultimately around the world. So Changemaker, by my definition, is a tremendous starting point for any student that just wants to see things get better, in almost any facet of life. And then once they realize that entrepreneurship isn't a capitalistic or business or MBA focused discipline solely, then our hope is that they parlay that experience with Changemaker into more dedicated programming that might align with their academic experience. So in my case, that's engineering.
It seems like a lot of the aspects of Changemaker focus on changing the way people see entrepreneurship, because it doesn't have to be that you're alone in a room building a huge project by yourself, but it can be just having a tool that helps you in all areas of changing the world in some way, whether that's a big startup or just helping someone in your community or something along those lines.
Yeah, it's a bunch of problem solvers that, essentially have a clubhouse, whether it's on the Tempe campus or the West campus or downtown or Poly or online. You're exactly right. It's a community of like-minded people that want to make the world a better place. And that is the common denominator for entrepreneurship and innovation.
Yeah, that's really cool. So at E plus I at Fulton, what are like specific resources that are available for students so that they can gain skills and knowledge?
Great question. Thanks for asking that, Shannon. So yeah, we have built out a tremendous suite of programs for all students, certainly engineers. But again, like I said, we will collaborate with anybody who wants to make the world a better place. And a lot of times, students who are studying either health or journalism or humanities or social behavioral sciences or business are eager to work with our students and our faculty in engineering for the technical aspect of, hopefully evolving whatever the intervention is by leveraging the power of technology, whether it's robotics or software or hardware or sensors or anything in between. So we certainly welcome all stripes to come in and rub shoulders with our students who take advantage of our program. So the first thing I'd tell your listeners is to visit us on the web. So we'll put in hopefully the web address for our web page, our website, into the comment section of this show.
Yes.
And basically, if you just do a Google search for entrepreneurship and engineering, you will find this web page. So step one, as it will likely point you to, is to invite you to join our weekly newsletter. And so that's a very easy first step. You just pop in your name and email, and we keep you posted on literally a weekly basis throughout the entire calendar year. What are ways in which you can get involved with entrepreneurship and innovation at ASU and quite frankly, more broadly? From there, we've organized our programs and offerings into three distinct pillars. We've got engage, learn, and venture. And so the way I often describe this is like a funnel. So at the top of the funnel, after you subscribe to the newsletter, we invite you to get involved with some of our co-curricular programming that falls into the engagement category. And two of our most exciting programs there include our weekly Make It Happen speaker series, which has gone virtual, but we hope to bring folks back together in person. So there, it's really about how do you leverage entrepreneurship to make yourself more impactful within your career progression. So again, it's not super daunting as entrepreneurship related to startups or related to building something within the next 6 months that actually works and people will buy. But it's really about how do I think like an entrepreneur and learn these tips and tricks from people that have applied entrepreneurship successfully within their careers. And then the second program within engagement that I'd like to highlight is our Devil's Invent series of weekend hackathons. So if you really want to get in the weeds with some of our most talented engineering students, there's no better way to do that than in a 48-hour or 36-hour problem-solving experience that are typically referred to as hackathons. But again, we call these Devil's Invent, and it's a series of engagements to invite people to come in and solve for X in a very short amount of time. And from there, that can be a springboard into many of the other programs that we offer within the learning realm, as well as the venture development realm.
Wow. It seems like there's definitely a lot that students can get involved with, especially when it comes to them starting their journey with entrepreneurship, which is such an incredible tool and skill that will definitely make their future brighter with all the things that they'll be capable of. So to end off, I just want to ask you, what is one piece of advice or encouragement you would give those interested in joining?
Well, again, Shannon, thanks so much for your time here today. It's really an honor to be a part of your show. I'll borrow the tagline from my colleagues at the J. Orrin Edson Entrepreneurship and Innovation Institute. The number one piece of advice in this domain is to just start. So if you have an inkling of an interest in A, making the world a better place, B, creating something that's going to be better than the status quo, or C, taking it a step further and actually creating a new organization, a new enterprise, a new venture, we have all of the resources to do those things in spades. So step one is just to take a small step, just start. And once you've started that process of walking down this squiggly line path that we've created in the world of entrepreneurship and innovation, you have the ability to make it happen. And it's really about action. So in this domain, we have a bias towards action. Just try something, prototype something, experiment with some of your hypotheses, And Shannon, I think it's appropriate for me to, point out, it seems to me like you're doing that with this podcast, with this show, with this resource that you're building for your peers. What you are doing is very entrepreneurial. And, we're just proud to have you in our ecosystem and, taking action to shine a spotlight on the fact that you're not alone, and that there are like-minded faculty and staff and fellow students and student leaders that are here to cheer you on and maybe even join your cause.
Thank you so much. That is incredibly kind of you to say. And I do encourage everyone listening, if you do have a plan or an idea of something that you want to do, build, or create, go for it. If you don't already have the tools at your disposal, know that there are programs all around you that can help teach you skills to help you achieve your goals and make your dreams into reality. But thank you so much, Dr. Sebold, for joining me today and talking about E+I at Fulton. It was a pleasure.
Great. Thanks so much, Shannon. Happy to do it. Go Devils.
Go Devils. Once again, this is Shannon Boesch. Thank you for tuning in to College Checklist. If you enjoyed the show, please like and subscribe. Till next time.